A warm welcome to all and wish you a happy evening. And thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Murali and I head the sales at Kaveri 4. And our group is associated with various automobile brands which are spread across Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Just a few house rules before we get started. We'll be muting all the invitees for undisturbed listening. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the Zoom chat box. We will bring them up during the Q&A session at the end of the program. And also to ask your questions, please raise your hand at the end of the program and admin will unmute you. If you're connected via laptop or desktop, click on the reactions icon available on your screen, at the bottom of your screen, and click on the raise hand option using the Zoom screen. And if you're connected using your mobile phones, please click on the three dots visible at the bottom of your mobile screen on the right hand side and click on the raise hand option. So we will allow you to, I will unmute you and you can ask your questions. Hope you and your family members are doing good during this pandemic. And many of us here may be disturbed due to the ongoing pandemic, and listening to a few good thoughts and having a positive mindset during this time will definitely help all of us. So Dr. Timmappa Hegde, this evening's guest speaker, will present us a speech on mental and spiritual well-being, which I'm sure will be a great help to all of us. Now, may I request our group Managing Director, Dr. MP Shyam, to introduce our guest speaker to all of us. Over to you, Shyam, sir.
Thank you, Murli. Good evening, Doctor, and good evening to everyone on this program. The topic of Dr. Hegde's speech today is achieving mind mastery to cope up with all challenging situations. We are in the midst of a raging pandemic, and never before we have experienced anything like this collectively. In addition, social media and mainstream media is full of negative news. This has caused anxiety, fear, insecurity, grief, loneliness, boredom, and uncertainty, emotionally and physically. The only way out is to change our attitude and to be mentally strong to face any adversity. The human mind is far superior to the world's best supercomputer. By understanding the dynamics of our mind, we can learn how to use it rather than be used by it. We are going through a pandemic which has affected so many families adversely and can potentially affect anyone. Whenever we are stressed and our bodies undergo a lot of stress-related disorders. This talk will help us to understand our mind and make it a useful instrument to achieve all that we wish to accomplish. We would also be introduced to techniques to handle stress effectively. A little bit about our speaker today. Dr. Timmappa Hegde is a very distinguished neurosurgeon and is presently working as the director for Narayana Institute of Neurosciences, Bangalore. He finished his neurosurgery residency from NIMHANS Neurosciences. He continued as a faculty at the Department of Neurosurgery till 2003, where he was instrumental in starting the stereotactic and functional neurosurgery. In 2004, he founded the Narayana Institute of Neurosciences, which has now become one of the finest centers in India for neurology and neurosurgery service with excellent training programs. Dr. Timmappa Hegde has been recognized by the Lions Club Bangalore as an outstanding citizen, and he visited US and Canada on special exchange programs from the Rotary International. He was invited by the Vatican to speak at the international meeting at the Vatican City and had a special audience with the Pope, His Holiness John Paul Pope II. With his keen interest in spirituality and overall personality development, Dr. Hegde has scaled new heights. Despite having a very busy practice center, he has been very kind enough to spare some time for us. I've known Dr. Hegde for the last 30 years. He's a thorough gentleman. Welcome, Doctor. Please address our teams, our friends, and our customers. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Shyam, for your kind introduction and the opportunity to speak to your staff. As you rightly introduced, we are experiencing something which we have never seen before. The magnitude of a kind of a problem that is affecting us collectively. Sometimes we see as doctors, certain families going through acute distress because of an accident, a brain tumor, or a cancer. But now that brain tumor, that cancer, that accident is now affecting the entire community. And because The second wave has come so close to us, to our own families, our own neighborhood. The feeling is a sense of insecurity. And if you have been more directly affected, there is grief. And if you have lost someone dear, there is a kind of an impact that only those who have gone through will know what it is to go through. Now, in these moments, we can be drained emotionally, we can be drained physically. But let us see, how do we handle it out? I want to look at one philosophical view. The philosophical view is sometimes when you have a major tragedy like this, we begin to feel, what is happening? Is the world coming to an end? Why is this chaos? Even in this seeming chaos, if you will see, every day the sun rises sharp at the specified time. The sun sets at a specified time. You will see nature in its all glory. While human beings are affected, nature, for the first time you hear birds like never before. The trees are blooming. Nature is in all its glory. Which means, if you really look and see at a perspective, it is not a chaos, but it is a cosmos. In a cosmos, everything happens according to a certain plan. Now, if I am not in tune, then I suffer. Just because many people suffer, it does not mean that the world is in a chaos. It means collectively we have to work on our own minds. Essentially, the problem will be, the problem is with me, the solution I have to work out. It is my attitude which can alter the altitude. That means I can see this from a different perspective. I need to see how I can be mentally strong. So strong, tell yourself, I can handle any situation. In Sanskrit, this word is called titiksha. Titiksha is to be mentally strong, mentally tough. And I will teach you certain techniques. For us, although we are seeing this as a pandemic, this is a hospital where I work in. Right now, we have 720 patients. This whole, almost the whole building has become a COVID hospital with 720 patients, many of them still in ICU. Fortunately, we have seen that worst period is over when, even when I would have to say, excuse me, sir, I have no space. Because we have so many people waiting outside the emergency and we have just had no space. But that's kind of situation, that crisis period is over. Only the more serious ones in the ICU are there. I'm, showing you a little bit of a problem, telling you, let us be mentally strong. I'm a neurosurgeon, and this is the kind of problem we see. This clot has nothing to do with COVID, although COVID people are having more of brain hemorrhages than another. But the example I'm just showing you is of an accident victim who's got a skull fracture, a large clot in the brain. I'm just telling you what we do as a neurosurgeon. As a neurosurgeon, we do a scan. We see where the clot is. We do an operation like this, open up the skull and remove the clot. Now, for me, I'm trying to do an operation on your brains without actually opening the brains. Now, if you are able to connect to me through the mind, we will learn certain techniques to say, I will handle it. I'm going to be mentally so strong that this is not going to be a problem for me. Where have I learned all this? This is the picture of Christopher Reeve, the Hollywood actor who played the role of a Superman. On a particular Sunday morning, it happened to me when I was there in Washington, DC in the year 1995. It was a Sunday morning. We got the news that he had a horse riding accident. He broke his neck. He was airlifted to the hospital. And being a celebrity, I know the kind of care that he was given. From that moment, he remained paralyzed all his life. He lived for 10 years like this on a wheelchair. Suddenly, you see the crisis of Superman for the whole world, but he's not able to lift his hand, lift his head. With the machine, he was able to breathe, he was able to speak. Now, imagine the disability. Your mind is fully conscious, but you're fully disabled. Now, these are the kind of problems that we see in our hospital on a routine basis. Whenever you go through a problem like this, he has written his autobiographical book titled Still Me. One example, one meaning is, my body may be completely destroyed, but I'm still the same. I will take another meaning. The other meaning is, whenever we go through a crisis, we stop doing what we normally do. We stop to explore. Even now, for a moment, you have taken 1 hour time from your work, whatever you're doing, to explore to yourself, what is this happening? In that stillness, you will discover somebody within you who is far greater than whom you imagined. That is the whole objective of this exercise. In this stillness, let me discover somebody who's so big and so strong, who's going to handle whatever crisis that my family, my organization, my community is facing. How do we do that? Now, in order to be able to have extraordinary strength, I would like to bank on something very special all of us have. And that is what is called the attitude of gratitude. I'm so lucky to be alive. I don't need an oxygen mask to keep me breathing. I don't need to check if my cylinder behind me has got enough oxygen or is there another cylinder available. You have to see people who are on oxygen all the time, touching that cylinder to see, is there a cylinder? Is there a backup cylinder? Because you know, once that mask is removed, you struggle to breathe. Every second of your breath, you need oxygen. For me, oxygen is available freely. Every breath that I can take, I'm enjoying every breath normally. Let us be grateful. Every minute we breathe 30 or 15 to 20 times. That means in a day, how many thousands of breaths that we take so for granted. Now, if you can count for each breath without having to pay for the oxygen, oxygen is given. You don't have to pay for the next cylinder. You don't have to book for the next cylinder. Now, let us be so grateful that I am healthy. I can work. I can do my work for the organization. I can do my work for the family. I can take care of myself. Now, suddenly you've discovered a strength which came from nowhere. This is called the attitude of gratitude. The next is you realize how great what it is to be healthy. And finally, when you are alive and your neighbor, you see this wall behind me? And if I speak a little louder, they will be able to hear. The family on this side and the family on that side. We lost the owner of the house just next door, and he's 15 years younger to me, an active health professional, active marketing professional. So, when you realize you are alive, you will see, let me be here for a higher purpose. I'm here for something greater. And from now on, I'm not going to lead a mediocre, ordinary life. I'm going to lead an extraordinary life. Let me look for inspiration. God has given me life for a purpose. Listen to this poem. I have never made a fortune and it's probably too late now. I don't worry about that much. I'm happy anyhow. And as I go along life's ways, I'm reaping better than I sowed. I'm drinking from my saucer because my cup has overflowed. Who can say that? Only somebody who's grateful. Normally, we keep cribbing and feeling sorry, I don't have this, I don't have that. But if you count your blessings, then this is exactly what you feel. As I go along life's ways, I'm reaping better than I sowed. I'm drinking from my saucer because my cup has overflowed. If you have time today, go to YouTube and listen to this talk by David Steen Rust about gratefulness. And he says, it is not happiness that makes us grateful. It is gratefulness that makes us happy. The question he asks all of us is, are happy people, that means those who are blessed with all the good things in life, are they likely to be happy? Or is it a grateful person who is happy? Why do we do whatever we do? Why do we work? Why do we do anything? We want to be happy, isn't it? Now, the shortcut to be happy is to be grateful. Whenever I am grateful, remember one thing, you can never be grateful and miserable at the same time. Now, just see, now I'm trying to go inside your mind. I'm going to do an operation without entering into your head. This is a non-invasive type of an operation where we will see how we can change our thoughts. Gautama Buddha had something to say about our thoughts. Look into your own mind. Do I have positive thoughts? Do I have negative thoughts? Gautama Buddha had something very nice to say. He says, watch your thoughts because they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Then he makes a landmark statement. He says, change your thoughts, change your destiny. That is the power of this talk. In this course of this talk, if I'm able to change my orientation, if I'm able to change my thoughts, my whole destiny can become different. What is this destiny that I'm talking about? This is another book I would recommend. You can go online and get a lot of reviews of this book by Wayne Dyer, who calls The Power of Intention. That means whatever your mind wants for yourself, for your company, for your family, will become true. That is the power of the human mind. The human mind can make anything come true. And this is called, the human mind is called a Kalpa Vriksha. And what do we really want? To be able to live a life of freedom, to be able to live a life that you love. And this is possible. For that, you need to be inspired. Only a person who has that, who's auto-driven. You don't have to be driven by anybody else. And let me read this for you, which says, when you are inspired by some great purpose, some extraordinary project, your mind transcends limitations, your consciousness expands in every direction, dormant forces, faculties, and talents become alive, and you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than you ever dreamt yourself to be. 5,000 years ago in the Yoga Sutras. A Western author has said what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. I'm looking at the giant within each one of us. Let us discover the real me who is able to solve. You know, it's our tendency to compare ourselves with others. Whenever you compare yourself with others, you become vain and bitter. Tell yourself, no one is superior to me, no one is inferior to me. I am what I am. There is nobody just like you. And that is the discovery of your greatness. Another book that has impressed me a great deal, it is there in this bookshelf of mine, by Hermann Hesse, who won the Nobel Prize for this book called Siddhartha. And among the other things he says is, if you want to accomplish anything in this world, you need to be mentally strong. And these moments of the pandemic are moments for us to discover that through mental training, just like we do a lot of bodily training, we can do mental training. The mental training is when I'm very hungry, when I'm kept waiting, imagine the scenario, all right, you're really, really hungry. You have come to a place where there is food, but for some reason, the food is delayed and delayed and delayed. And maybe you are the boss of that place. Are you able to control and still wait? You have all the authority, but still you're able to control. For some reason, food is not served, you're extremely hungry, and you're made waiting for an abnormal amount of time. Now, these are certain examples. If you can say, I can wait, because very often we get upset when we can't wait. Sometimes we can't wait for a few seconds. For a few seconds, a few minutes, you see when the signal changes from red to green, immediately people are so impatient, they want to move. So I will conclude the session today by looking at some techniques at mind mastery, primarily from Indian sources. Patanjali has summarized many of these. It is easy to say master your mind, but those from India are very close to yoga. But normally when we say yoga, what do we mean? You think yogasana. Yogasana is, of course, a very important aspect. And whenever you do yogasana or any form of physical exercise, not only it affects the body, it affects the mind also. You will see, you'll always feel good about it. But before you reach to the bodily level, there are some things called yama and niyama. I will touch on that. Then we come to pranayama, which is one of the most powerful mind-strengthening techniques. Then there is something called dharana, which means to be focused. Pratyahara is the ability to let go. Dhyana, before we conclude, I will do a short technique on dhyana. Dhyana means meditation. What is dhyana? I will explain. And the culmination of all this is called samadhi. What each of these is things. Why are we doing all these techniques of yoga? Primarily because The greatest tool I have is my mind. The mind is my greatest tool. Unfortunately, what happens, the mind is supposed to be my instrument, but the mind can become my master. How to become the master? That's why I've titled this talk Mind Mastery. If I'm the master of my mind, I can be able to use my mind to accomplish whatever I want. And for today's talk, I thought we will look into some of the techniques which many of us in India know about it, but we may not have seriously looked at how I can look at Ashtanga yoga techniques to be able to discipline my mind, to regulate my mind, so that my mind is available for me and the mind is not dominating me. What is the serious problem of the mind? The mind is normally our instrument. The mind should be our slave. It should be available for me when I need it. It should be available for me however long. If this talk is going on, let's say for 1 hour, can I be able to hold my attention for that period of time? If I've got an important project, can I keep my mind on that? If I'm a student, if I'm studying, but if my mind is wandering somewhere else, I'm not having that great faculty of my mind to work on whatever. Additionally, the mind has the nature of generating thoughts and doing it without your permission. I may be sitting and doing this process, but my mind is thinking about something else. If my mind is somewhere else and I am here, I'm not in real time. I'm in real time only when my body and mind is here. Just ask yourself at this moment, are you here physically and mentally? Or are you here only physically and your mind is thinking of something else? Whenever we are not in real time in body and mind, we are wasting our time. We are simply sitting at our work desk, not doing anything. Productive work happens in real time, in psychological time. That means my mind is somewhere else. I'm wasting my time. I'm sitting at my work desk, but I'm thinking about something. I'm in psychological time. I'm looking at various techniques. And in today's class, let me look at some of the techniques that is given to us from Ashtanga Yoga, how I can bring myself to real time. There is an Upanishad, and those who are from India who have been blessed to enter into the world of the Upanishads know how much of a treasure this is. This is from the Amrita Bindu Upanishad, which says, Mana eva manushyanam karana bandha moksha. The same mind can be the cause of my bondage. The same mind I can train and it can be the cause of my freedom. So it is not the pandemic. See, today it is pandemic. Tomorrow it will be some other problem. Now, can you look at one solution which can solve all your problems, whether it is this pandemic or anything else? Today, we are looking at how we can look at Ashtanga Yoga to remove negative thoughts, toxic emotions, to resolve habitual anxiety and depression. Now, before we come to Yogasana, there is something called Yamas and Niyama. And unless we climb the first rung and the second rung, we cannot go to the third rung. So in Ashtanga Yoga, let us go step by step. In my mind, there should be no violence. No violence in thought, word, and deed. Now, this is not an easy discipline. There should be no angry thought to any family member or anybody in your organization. So there is no thought, no speech, no action, there is violence. Because if ahimsa is there, your path is cleared. But if there are negative thoughts, there are angry thoughts. Second is, one of the ways to work on mind mastery is truthfulness. Because if there is untruthfulness, all your mind is working to protect. See, when you are truthful, you don't need much of the mind. But when there is untruthful, all your mind is processing to protect yourself from untruthfulness. Asteyam means not stealing. Stealing here means taking something that is not your possession. Whatever is not your possession, if I have unfairly taken something that does not belong to me, is asteyam. If some of these characteristics are there, I need to work on it. Otherwise, mind mastery becomes a distant dream. Brahmacharyam is a sexual appropriateness as per society. Aparigraha means to have less and less possessions, because the more possessions we have, the more we are possessed by what we possess. Then there are some things called niyama. And the niyamas are saucham, cleanliness and thought, word and deed, santosha, contentment, tapaha, the ability to be, as I said, strong, to be able to have certain austerity. Swadhyaya is scriptural study. And the last one is Ishwara Pranidhanam. That means I accept. This is not easy. The Muslims have a nice prayer called Inshallah. I accept the will of the Lord. The Christians say, thy will be done. If I'm able to accept this moment as it is, that is called Ishwara Pranidhanam. These are the 2 steps. Then comes niyama is fixed observances. That means a life of discipline. Asana. Now, even as you are sitting, ask yourself, am I in sthira sukha asana? Sthira means no unnecessary movement. Sukha means assume a position of comfort. So asana means my body posture to be as relaxed as possible. Then there is a very important technique. If we learn certain techniques of pranayama, pranayama is proven to be one of the most powerful techniques to be able to control my mind. Pranayama essentially means we can do a short pranayama right now. As you are seated, am I aware of the air that I am breathing? Am I aware I'm holding my breath? Am I aware I'm breathing out? Just watch. I'm breathing in. Hold your breath. Breathe out. Breathe in. Hold your breath. Breathe out. Sometime later, I will tell you how pranayama is the bridge between the body and mind. As doctors, we see a lot of what is called psychosomatic disorders. That means the problem is in the mind. Because of my anxiety, tension, whatever, the mind body develops peptic ulceration, heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes. All kinds of medical problems are possible because the primary problem is there in the mind. And that is why sometimes when you go to a doctor and you keep your body very tense and the doctor wants to examine you, they'll say, breathe deeply, take a deep breath. The moment you take a deep breath, you will see automatically the body will relax. Then there is a technique called pratyahara. Pratyahara means the ability to gracefully give up. As we get older, your hair becomes gray, the body is not like before. So am I able to accept the changes that are happening? So the more you come to the level of acceptance, then what happens? I'm not fighting with what is. I come to terms. So I'm able to have greater control on my mind. Then there is something called dharana. Dharana means to be focused. Am I attentive? Am I 100% here doing whatever is happening in front of me? Dhyana, we will experience right now what dhyana is. Like in dharana, if I'm looking at my monitor, all my attention is on the monitor. I can see Murali in front of me. So my attention is on the whatever is in front of me. I'm 100% focused on whatever is there in front of me. That is called dharana. Now, even as I am looking at my monitor, if I'm aware of the person, me, just imagine if there is a video camera focused on me. So suddenly I become aware of myself. I become aware that I'm speaking. When you become fully aware of what you are doing, that is a form of meditation. Meditation, we normally assume keeping your eyes closed and all those things. But if you are aware of everything that you do, you can do walking meditation, you can do cooking meditation, you can do driving meditation. It does not matter what you're doing, but I can be 100% where I am. The ultimate of Ashtanga Yoga is called Samadhi. Samadhi. Sam means together, Adi means the Lord. When there is no gap between me and the Lord, you become one. And that is through these various techniques. I will stop the discussion right now. And so we had a little discussion of what is this mind mastery. I'm opening this for discussion. Murli, you can take over if there are some questions right now. You let me know whether we should do a form of a relaxation technique first, or then I would like to take questions, or however it is.
I feel we'll proceed with the relaxation session, and post it we can take the questions, Doctor.
All right. Now, if people are around and if you can put your cameras around, I will know some real people. I mean, it depends upon you. If you're free to put your cameras on, it is okay. Because I want to see you also, how you sit. Sit in a comfortable position, keeping your back upright. Keeping your arms, if you're sitting on a chair, keep your arms on your thighs. Keep your back on your backrest, or keep your back absolutely upright. If you have the option of folding your legs, you can sit in a cross-legged position and keep your back upright. You can use the backrest if you wish. Once you have assumed a position of comfort, as far as possible, do not move. It is still okay if you're still adjusting your position. And once you have adjusted to a particular position, I'll request you, as far as possible, do not move. Because when the body moves, the mind also moves. Keep your eyes closed. Our external world is closed for me. And once the external world is closed, I become aware of my thoughts. You can be aware of what I am speaking. At the same time, you can be aware of the various thoughts that are going on in your mind. And this is what is called a Sakshi Bhava. I'm now going to become a witness of my mind. So the mind is witnessing the various thoughts that the facilitator is talking. You can hear my words, but you will see there is a confusion also. There is a lot of traffic. There are a lot of other thoughts also in your mind. But it is possible that all the other thoughts will be reduced. Even if they come, don't bother. Just watch them. This is what is called being a Sakshi Bhava. Just observe your thoughts. See yourself. Don't see the thought, but now see the observer of the thought. Just for example, if you're looking at the sky is perfectly blue. Occasionally a cloud comes in. The cloud is a thought. The cloud will come, the cloud will go. The background of the blank mind is like the blue sky. Just keep watching that blue sky. Become aware of the background. And the more your mind is free from thoughts, the more your body becomes loose and relaxed. Loose and relaxed. Allow your bodies to become more and more relaxed. More and more relaxed. Shanti. Shanti. Experience a deep level of relaxation. Sometimes the relaxation that you have during deep sleep, but you can have it in a perfectly waking state when your mind is absolutely still without any thoughts. One of the first techniques that will help you to come to a state of meditation is that we mix pranayam along with dhyana. All your attention now is on the tips of your nostrils. Be very sensitive to the whole breathing process. So what we're doing is pranayama dhyana, being aware of my breathing. Some time ago, I told you, how lucky we are that we can breathe in pure oxygen from the normal air without requiring cylinders. Let us feel so grateful. Feel the oxygen in the air. Breathe out all the carbon dioxide from the lungs. Let this happen naturally. I'm breathing in pure air. I'm breathing out all the carbon dioxide rich air from my lung. Breathe in and breathe out. I'll slowly ask you to make a pause. Breathe in, pause, and breathe out. And again, pause at your own pace. 4 steps in breathing. Breathe in slowly. Hold your breath for as long as you can. Slowly breathe out. And hold. Once again, take a deep breath slowly. Hold your breath for as long as you can. Slowly breathe out. Again, pause. Breathe in deep, fill your lungs. Pause for as long as you can. Breathe out deep. Continue at your own pace. Shift your attention now from your breathing to your body. Keeping your eyes closed all the time, mentally scan your whole body from the tip of the toe to the top of the head. Appreciate the gift of your body. My mind and my body is my greatest gift. I will treasure this to serve myself, my family, my organization, and my community. I'm so grateful to the gift of this body. I shall nurture my health. I shall nurture my health so that this vehicle, my body, will serve as many people as possible. I shall become more and more selfless because I have the gift of this body. Observe each part of your body. And if there is tension in any part of your body, ask your body to relax. Mentally use this magic word, Shantihi. I am at peace. In this moment, I am perfectly in peace. Shantihi. Both my legs are now relaxing. From the tip of the toes, your ankle joint, both your knees, the thigh and the hip region, both your legs are so deeply relaxed. the chest and the stomach region. Both your hands are now relaxing. The whole region of your face. Again, mentally scan your whole body. From the tip of the toe to the top of the head. Shanti. I will count numbers from 1 to 3. With each count, you become more and more relaxed. 1. 2, you are still more relaxed. 3, your whole body is so deeply relaxed. Just experience and enjoy this deep state of relaxation. Just come back to your breathing, become aware of your breathing. Gently move your fingers. Gently move your fingers. You may open your eyes, become awake. Murli, you can moderate if there is any interaction, any questions.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It is truly filled our minds with a lot of positivity in our minds. It is truly relaxing. Definitely, we see a lot of news over the social media or even a lot of through other mediums about the pranayama in the present situation, but we don't never experience or never try to do all this. Most of us, we don't try that. But thank you so much for giving us that opportunity and teaching us how to get relaxed and practice all this in our daily life. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you so much for all this. And any of my colleagues and friends, any of you have any questions, please raise your hands. May I request you to raise your hands if you have any questions to Doctor. Yeah, we have one message from my colleague Karthik Hegde. Thank you, sir. It helped me clear my mind. Thank you so much, Doctor. Yeah, we have Usha Sridhar. Ms. Usha, you can unmute yourself now on your screen. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doctor, for teaching all this yoga asana and also the techniques of using our mind to relax ourselves. And I just wanted to know pranayama in the early morning we do. Can we do in the evening also? Is there any problem if we do in the evening or a night?
No problem, madam. Only it should be on an empty stomach. That means why we normally say early morning is before we have had any food in the stomach. You can drink water. Water is not a problem. But pranayama should never be done on a full stomach. So certainly before dinner, before breakfast, even before lunch. So when the stomach is empty, that is fine. You can do pranayama.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you, doctor.
Also, pranayama is a very, very powerful technique. So generally it is advised that you have a person to teach you pranayama and do it. Now, another thing is, if pranayama whenever something is very powerful, if it is not done correctly, it can produce certain harm also. One of the dangers it can do is that those who have high blood pressure, the BP can go up. So you should be very careful about blood pressure. You need to be able to check your blood pressure for. Not that it is harmful, but it can momentarily increase the blood pressure. And those who do not know that they have high blood pressure, the BP can also go. Those who have epilepsy, who are on medication, have to be very gentle with certain forms of pranayama. So that is why you need a guidance as far as pranayama, but it's a very, very powerful technique. It is something I will recommend for everybody every day.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you. I think we have another lady. Ari, you can unmute yourself and you can go ahead.
Thank you, doctor, for whatever means. It was really grateful for me while doing the exercise, like pranayama, closing the eyes. But there's one fear in my mind, so which makes me very panic. And sometimes what happens, my chest and heart and all becomes very hotted, and I feel something will happen to me, which I'm not able to come out of that. Very well, I'm okay with my physical body, everything. I feel I'm all right, I'm strong enough. But sometimes when mentally deeply I think something is going to happen, I feel that I won't be alive another moment. So this is this fear which is set in my mind. How to come out of that mindset, I don't know.
See, whenever there is fear, whenever there is anger, whenever there is an upset, whenever there is happiness, there is a beautifully coded link between emotion and your breathing. Emotion and breathing, there is. Now, supposing there is panic. Now, if you sit quietly in panic, what happens? Your panic can become even more. So
yeah, that is what's happening, doctor.
See, for you in that moment, get into certain forms of activity. And whenever you get me walking or some brisk walking, or if you're young and fit, certain skipping and some form of a brisk exercise you do, then what happens? The breathing pattern becomes faster. When you have changed your breathing, because remember, when there is a panic, there is a link with a certain signature type of breathing. Now, when you have actively changed your breathing pattern because of some other activity, that intense panic will disappear. Of course, it can come back again after some time, but you will see that if you want to break that panic cycle, you have to work on changing your breathing pattern. And for that moment, it may be difficult to remain quiet. So get into some form of physical activity, work on changing your breathing pattern, go away from the situation that created the panic, and then see, panic thoughts will come. But to nurture those panic thoughts, there is a certain amount of freedom that is there in our hands. So whenever one negative thoughts come, it comes from nowhere. I have no control on that first negative thought. But the second negative thought, third negative, it's called a panic buildup, an anxiety buildup, a depression buildup. And this buildup can, all of us are very experts in building up till it goes beyond control. So the buildup of panic, the buildup of depression, the buildup of anxiety is in our control. We can acutely break the cycle by bringing out some form of change in activity, suddenly get involved in some other routine work, maybe some form of housework, cleaning, or something that will take you away from the situation. Your breathing pattern has changed. And then just be aware of your mind so that this thought buildup shall not happen.
So, doctor, this means I'll start exercising. I started also, but while doing this, can I come out of this situation? Is that I should go for any consultation? Because I feel I don't know how to tell this.
Yeah, no problem. See, you're being very honest. Very few people are bold enough to be able to share. So what is the situation is certain extents we can handle by ourselves. But when it becomes beyond a certain level, then please seek professional helps. Today, a lot of psychologists are available, even online. A lot of good people are available just to listen to you and guide you. So I would suggest look for Some
The
psychological.
sorry to interrupt, doctor. This how it senses me means I feel like some small pain near to my chest or right side or left side. I feel okay, something it is going to get something else. Pain is more. So that is exactly going up. That is what which I'm not able to come out of it, doctor.
So in, if all these techniques which I said,
Hmm.
if the levels of panic, anxiety, depression, whatever is little more, don't hesitate to look for professional help. When the body has got fever, we go to a doctor. Similarly, the mind also has got its aberrations. At that time, we think it is wrong to go to a psychiatrist. Perfectly fine. There are
Yeah.
psychologists and psychiatrists who will be able to guide you. And sometimes through counseling, sometimes it may be medication, but please don't hesitate because it will affect your well-being. Most important is I should feel good about myself in this moment. If I feel good about myself, I can take care of my family. I can work for my organization. So this is a cycle. So work on your personal well-being.
Thank you, doctor. I surely will consult for that, doctor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. And we have another question. It's also something similar. How to have equanimity?
Same thing, all what I already spoke of. See, equanimity is not something that, equanimity is a very advanced state of mental mastery. And therefore, it needs that a person builds it up over a period of time. If you want equanimity, you have to work for equanimity. How do you work for equanimity? So we need to work on a certain discipline in our personal life. That is why I said, I just gave an example of Ashtanga Yoga. The Ashtanga Yoga talks of Yama, Niyama. Then there is body posture, then there is breathing. So when all these things come at an advanced level, then it is possible that you have the mastery of your mind. What is equanimity? When there is something bad, you don't feel so depressed. When there is something good, you don't feel so excited. I know it is suddenly somebody tells you some bad news. The first reaction is what? But a person who's got some equanimity will tell silently, he won't tell loudly. He will tell himself, so what? I will handle it. This shift from what to so what is equanimity. It will happen for a person who wants to develop it. Those who have a certain amount of religious and spiritual understanding, easier to come to a level of equanimity.
Thank you, Doctor. And another question, I think most of them would have this in their minds. Doctor, please give some tips on using mobile phones. Usually we are using it sometime, its effect on our mentally. How to control it?
What do you mean? I didn't understand the question. What is the tips on using mobile phone in what way?
How to avoid using the mobile phones? I can put in a different way. Yes.
That means you're hesitant to use your mobile and you would like to use your landline. See, right now everybody is at home. So one option would be, if you want to minimize your radiation signals, use your landlines. If the landlines exist, most people have given up their landlines. That's another problem. Use of headphones may be a better option rather than keeping the instrument close to you. The mobile is a way you have a Bluetooth or some other device that can keep the instrument away from you. Of course, if you have a landline and if you have a speaker, maybe that is a better method so that you can avoid the constant whatever radiation that may be coming from a mobile telephone. And of course, see, now that people are working from home, one of the problems is that your communication on the telephone becomes so much more. Normally, would you have just gone in the office and you'd have given some instruction, something happens. Now, everything is through a meeting and everything is the telephone, and the number of hours that you spend on the telephone becomes so much more. So just look at certain devices like headphones or something which can make you more comfortable in using the phones.
Thank you, Doctor. There's another question. How many times do we practice the breathe in and breathe out exercises? What is advisable?
Yeah, see, it should be part of, all of us have to have a certain amount of routine every day. where you bring in a combination of physical activity, breathing activity, and a form of meditation. So you see how you can bring in, if you can bring in about 20 minutes of a brisk walk, all right, do a 20 minutes brisk exercise first, because whenever you sit quietly for meditation, all the thoughts will come. So do a form of a brisk meditation, a brisk physical exercise. It may be walking, it may be anything. Then come sit down for some time and do your breathing technique. And the last part of it, like in Yogasana, you go into Shavasana. So you see the last part would be sitting down or lying down, but just see that you don't go off to sleep, because then there is no benefit of it. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if you can go even for about 15 minutes of utter awareness or a silent form of meditation. So bring in, maybe early morning would be good time. Those who can do it twice a day, morning and evening. That is why they say 2 time zones are very useful. Now that you're having work from home, you have a certain amount of flexibility. Possibly, if you can avoid meetings at these 2 times, during sunrise and during sunset. In many traditions, like even among the Muslims, you have prayers at various times during the day. So these are moments when it becomes easier to communicate with the higher forces. In India, it's called Sandhya. During Sandhya, Sandhya is twilight. That means either the night is giving way to the day, or in the evening, the day is giving way to the night. So it is neither day or night. So these are twilight zones. Twilight zones are very conducive for body-mind exercises. So look at twice a day, if you can, that you can bring in whatever form of exercises. And
Thank you, Doctor. We have another question. Being adults, so we understand the concept of mastering the mind. What activity would you suggest for children, as their lifestyle is also affected in many ways?
children are much more robust. What children study and learn is the way we lead our lives. It depends upon the age of children. So what's so important now that we are at home longer is that we become good role models for children, because children don't listen to what we say, they listen to who we are. So whenever we are at home and if they see you getting very angry, very upset with any of your colleagues at work or on the telephone, it disturbs them so much. So that is why you will see that, there should be no disparity between what you tell them to be and who you are. And therefore, there is a much greater discipline that we need to be there. Great communication happens. So if you are happy, if you're cheerful, that if you're able to handle yourself much better, that will be the greatest hope. Otherwise, children are mentally very robust. And otherwise, what happens is we are able to transmit our insecurity, our depression, our grief to the children. So this is what I would say. Children are much more robust than most of us are. So let us be good role models.
Thank you, Doctor. I think we have last 2 questions. One is at what age children can start the pranayama? That's another question. Can young children can start the pranayama?
Sure, whenever they're ready to listen to you, they can do. And so if you can get them, younger the children, the better, because they are likely to listen to you. Once they become a little older, then you're finished. You have no control on them. So
Correct.
Younger children are more amenable to lead a more disciplined life. And again, they follow your own routine. If you don't do, you don't expect them to do. Therefore, live a life of a certain routine that you would like the children to role model on. So if they see you in a particular way, and if you follow a life of certain discipline, it becomes easy for them. And then when you are now more at home, bring some time of a family that prays together. Bring some common prayer time. Introduce prayer before meals. At this moment during the pandemic, we are always sensitive that so many people have lost their livelihood. They may be struggling for every meal. And when we are grateful for every meal, the whole family sits together and prays for the bounty that we are able to enjoy. So before prayer, before meals, after meals, a sense of gratefulness. So then if you will see breakfast, lunch, dinner, 3 meals a day, 3 prayers, morning, evening, at least 5 times a day the family gets together. It may not take more than 1 minute, but before the food goes into the mouth, make a small process of a thanksgiving. So introduce these small techniques. So as Mother Teresa said, a family that prays together will stay together.
Thank you, Doctor. We'll take the last question. Nowadays, children are addicted to mobiles. What are the ways to come out of it?
There are no ways. No way. See, all your efforts are going to be more counterproductive. So it depends upon the age of the children also. See, as far as possible, we discourage, but then parents need to be very sensitive that the more you restrict, the more it becomes counterproductive. So therefore, be watchful. This is a danger. And when you're trying to, I'll give you a general rule about parenting. It says, Pujaye Panchavarshaye, until the age of 5, bring up the child with a lot of love, lot of security. Bring the child as if it is God in your home. Then he says, Dandaye Dashavarshe. From the age of 6 to the age of 16, bring the child in the vicinity of the stick. Up till the age of 16, you can bring about a certain amount of discipline possible when they are still school children. That was difficult if you have not brought in a certain amount of discipline. Discipline from a loving angle only. The loving angle that you tell them, certain things, there is no dispute, there is no discussion about this. If you're able to work up to the age of 16, then he says, Prapte Shodasha Samsare, Putra Mitra Machale. The moment your son or daughter is 16, 17, now they are no longer under the discipline mode. Now you need to treat them like a friend, you treat them as equal. That is a better way of getting things done rather than forcing anything. So there is a window period, and each child is also different. So we need to vary between, some older children may be amenable for discipline, some younger children are not amenable for discipline. So there is the parents will have to have a right balance with how much freedom to give your child and how much discipline you need to enforce. But generally, I would know that the younger generation is much wiser than we are. So let us not be very restrictive about them. Give them the space to be themselves, because parents make greater mistakes by trying to infringe children's freedom rather than. So, what I would say is you can make errors of omission and errors of commission. That means omission, I did not do this and therefore my child did something wrong. Errors of commission, I did this and therefore my child has been hurt. We as parents are more likely to make errors of commission. So therefore be very sensitive when it comes to parenting. You will do less mistakes when you give them more freedom.
Thank you, Doctor. Friends, I think a lot of questions are coming up. Due to time constraint, we will not be in a position to take all the questions. If you have the questions has to be answered, we request you to just drop us a mail. You can make a note of my email ID, murali@kaveriford.com, CAUVERYFORD.com, murali@CAUVERYFORD.com. Please write to me. We'll request Doctor to answer your questions. Doctor, I'm sorry. I think we should take this last question if you don't mind. Just give me 2 minutes. This question disturbed me a lot. Thank you, Doctor. My question is that I lost my mother a few months ago due to cardiac arrest. Since then, I'm not able to accept the fact. Also, every day that scenario where I took her to hospital and all the things which happened keeps on repeating in mind at the same time which happened. How do I overcome this?
See, I told you in the beginning, we are living in not in a chaos, we are living in a cosmos. Now, this is my deep understanding. And if you are able to come to terms with this, see, ultimately, you lost your mother only 2 months ago. And that is a very acute period. So that grief is very intense and therefore it takes time. Time is a great healer. Now, sometimes thoughts would come, if I had done this, if I had done that, whether I could have avoided, if I had reached hospital earlier, if I could have done some things. Now, I am convinced of one thing from my own understanding of spiritual mode, that all of us, when we are born, we have two things which are absolutely fixed. Our date of birth is fixed, our date of death is also fixed. Where I am born, to which family I am born, what kind of health I have, whether I'm male, female, Indian, whatever, is already determined. My end point is determined. We only have a certain amount of flexibility. This is as per the law of karma. As a doctor, I've seen that we have absolutely no control on the life of a person. We think we are saving lives, not at all. And sometimes we think that the person died because of me. Again, it's not true. This is, learn to accept this fact that our date of death is determined. It is fixed. How I'm going to die, when I'm going to die is not under my control. I have seen people die in the operating room with all the facilities available. I have seen big mistakes that could be done and still the person does not die. He survives in spite of the doctor. So death is something else. Now, if you are able to come to terms that my life and the life of my family members are already determined, it is not my action or my non-action that has caused something. Let there be no sense of guilt or a sense of regret. Whatever has to happen will happen as per a larger program. For you, it is only 2 months. It takes some time. So what I would suggest is bring in more amount of physical activities whenever you are free, maybe little walking, bring in breathing time. Even when you are walking, when you walk, see that there are no thoughts. Feel the ground, look at the trees, look at the environment around. Experience this moment. Don't go back to thoughts. Thoughts will come, but keep your mind free from those thoughts. Work on some of these techniques. It's a matter of another 1 month, then you will be able to get over.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Thanks a lot. And a lot of thanking messages flooding the chat box. Thank you so much, Doctor. Shyam, sir, if you'd like to say something.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for taking time off and giving us such a wonderful talk. I have no words to express my gratitude. When the pandemic rests, I shall meet you in person. Thank you again, Doctor. Namaste.
Thank you all for joining. Thank you so much.